Welcome back to Twist of Fate, a small business podcast where you can find your inspiration to make your entrepreneurial dreams come true. Today's episode is dedicated to the passions that come from community, pride, and most importantly, beer. So today I brought my friends from Mason Aleworks, Grant and Cesar, to talk about how they're creating big boom and big excitement in the San Diego microbrewery craft industry. Gentlemen, welcome to Twist of Fate.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's an honor to be here, man. I appreciate the time.
Here in San Diego, you're making waves in the beer crowds with craft, beer with cool artistic themes, specially created for different communities. And could you tell me more in your own words what Mason Aleworks means to you?
I take a look at a label on a beer, almost like being a representation of how I would present myself out in the community. So the clothes I would choose to wear, the way that I carry myself, we have to convey that exact same message through a label on a beer can, especially when we're selling beer in so many different states and so many different markets where people may not know us. So we need to have something that captures that ethos of who we are and what we're all about. So it's been interesting. We've worked with a lot of different artists over the years. Some of them you got to do some hand holding and you got to get the art to right where you want it. And then some guys just get it right off the bat. Yeah. So there's a guy we've been working with.
Billy Daggers.
Yeah.
His artist name. Yeah.
Exactly. So you know the guy's legit when he has an artist name.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Amen to that.
I was very disappointed to learn that wasn't his real name. I'm like, man.
His name's Taylor. It's the widest name you can get. Yeah. So
I'm never going to call him that. But no, he's a genius in that we feed him an idea and then he brings it to life. And he brings it to life in so many different ways that sometimes blows our minds. Like,
No, listen, the beer becomes a collectible.
It really
He's
does.
adding value beyond the act of drinking or the taste of the beer. It's like a thing.
Oh,
yeah. I know this because I've bought some of like the Star Wars beers and the different
Millennial
things.
Falcon.
Millennial Falcon.
Yeah, it's incredible stuff.
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yep.
Canopy.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Too good.
Yeah.
So these are examples of beer gone right.
Yeah.
But now we're in the deep fake Tom Cruise,
Right.
deep fake Morgan Freeman, like AI gone wrong. How about beer gone wrong? Whew. Is there any send it back beers you've experienced?
Thankfully, we don't have beer go wrong too often, knock on wood.
It's very expensive when it happens.
But I know we were talking off camera about how we come up with beer names. And so a lot of that has to do with, we'll have an idea that'll come to us to be a funny situation or something. We'll write it down and we circle back a couple months later. If we still think that's funny or punny for that matter, then we'll recirculate it and we'll probably go with it. But there's definitely plenty of names. That's where we probably would get in the most trouble. It's something you write down that you think is funny at the time. And then when you circle back, you're like, why?
What was I thinking?
What
was I
even
thinking
going
at that
on?
time? Yeah.
Had to be there to get it.
So
there's some names that we thought were clever and turned out they weren't.
Do you have
as
any you would
great.
share?
Oh, yeah. So I pulled up my list here.
And it's a long list.
It's a long list, but
not joking.
So I'm going to come up with just a couple that pop out. Drunk and Huggy. That seemed like a good idea when we wrote it down. That was right before Me Too, so probably a good thing we didn't do anything with that.
Right, yeah.
Don't Haze Me Bro, right around the time that Don't Tase Me Bro was a thing. Carlos Danger, there was a politician out in New York. That was apparently his screen name as he was hitting on underage girls. Don't
want that one.
No, that was,
send that back.
Exactly. And so, some of these ones on here, I'm like, Viking pop culture. I'm like, why did I even write that one down?
Again.
That makes no sense whatsoever.
And then you put it in the group chat and you get the real response.
I kind of like that
yeah.
one. I'm a huge Northman fan, so I don't know. Maybe,
Listen, I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan. I don't want that floating around, man.
No, don't scratch that one yet.
Oh, man. So,
Again, they might come back. You never know. We might be cringing right now, but then you put it in the group chat a few months from now, and we're like, actually, that hits right now. That actually, it's making sense.
I have Croc Martins on here. So, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, what do I even do with that for a beer label with a name like that? It's just,
But Billy Daggers would find a way to make that look cool. And that's the thing. Like, it's such a process. You have to search to make sure no one's used that name.
It's a huge thing.
And if they've used that name, did they trademark it?
Yep.
And
Yep.
even if they did use it and trademark it, and maybe you can work with them.
Yep.
Are they a well enough known commodity that it's going to cause a ruffle, or is it like, oh no, it's a small brewery in Australia that put out this beer, and it's not going to be a big deal if we release it with this name?
Cesar, it shows the care and the appreciation that even as owners, you guys are thinking how names matter, how the brand and art matters, and how even the formulation of your beer and the flavor matters. Like, I don't know that everybody understands or appreciate that goes into the process. So, I mean, it makes me an even more of an enthusiast for your next Star Wars beer. So,
they're coming back. Yeah, they'll be here in a couple of weeks, and we get hit hard for that. I mean, there's so many places. One of our partners, Beer Zombies, they put on a May the 4th festival in Las Vegas, and it's wonderful.
Get ready. There's a Lord Vader announcement. I don't know if you guys have seen this.
No, I haven't heard about this.
On Disney Plus.
Yeah.
There's a Lord Vader, kind of like after Anakin is turned, but like before he's really Vader, and he's, you know.
That's my wheelhouse, man.
Yeah.
Maybe a new beer formulation. Like maybe get that out there.
I'm in. Yeah.
We'll send a text to Billy right now and have him start working on it.
Yeah.
Awesome. Twist of Fate will be right back. Hey, Twist of Fate listeners. Did you know you can book me, Doug Younger, DY3, to speak at your next event, deliver a keynote, or commencement speech? You know I'll bring all that Twist of Fate energy, as well as my experiences as the founder and CEO of 3 Steps Forward, a marketing company. The accolades that come with being a university adjunct professor, and lessons from my corporate career in Fortune 500 businesses traveling to over 40 countries worldwide. You can also book coaching and workshop sessions for you and your team. Book me using the link below in the description for this episode. Hey, you never know. You may find your own inspiration leading to a twist of fate. So I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. Like, I'll admit I didn't really like beer until I started traveling in my corporate job, and I went to Stephansplatz in Belgium. And I got to tell you, that Belgian beer turned me out. I'm talking St. Bernardus ABT 12.
Oh, yeah.
Delirium. St. Bernardus.
You can get into the West Veteran when you're over there, too.
Yeah.
You don't have to drink a lot of volume.
Yep.
But that stuff is like 8 to 10%, maybe higher.
Liquid bread, man. The monks gotta do something to stay nice and full while they're fasting.
It's a lifestyle for them too. Yeah.
I still love that stuff. It turned my wife out. It turned me out, and I started packing on the pounds. So
body by beer is a real thing.
Oh yeah, no, you may not be able to see us if you're listening to this podcast, but Cesar and I are not tiny men. Let's just put it that way.
No.
Built for comfort.
We are. Yeah, we're.
I hope models. All of you get on YouTube and you can be the judge of these.
I didn't say we're not good looking.
Don't get it twisted either.
Yeah.
So no, I think that there's lots of communities of preferences and tastes and flavors. I definitely think IPA is in.
Oh yeah, it's probably
I'm out.
It's probably 60 to 70% of our production.
I think so.
Different forms of IPAs.
Yeah.
So,
but is that like is it a generational thing? Like what? How does this happen? Like there's like these eras of certain things take off, because there's some people. Like you mentioned light beer, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like there's some like people. All political craziness aside, are still drink a Bud Light. They'll say like that's what I'm looking for. You know, my mother was like that. Like I'll drink all that stuff. But so how does this IPA, or is there a seasonality to this, or?
No, I mean, I think it was just that's what created the boom. I think in beer, Stone was notorious for burning your taste buds off. You know, the bigger, the bolder, the more IBUs, And I think everyone just kind of fell into that and they followed suit. Ballast became Ballast because of Sculpin. It was just, knowing your market and knowing that that's what people were chasing and finding a way to be at the front of the line. But yeah, I don't know if it was a generational thing, but I just feel like that's what created the boom in craft beer was definitely the West Coast IPAs. The bigger, the bolder, the chasing after that was huge. And then the haze craze came along, and that was everywhere. You can't have a brewery without making a hazy IPA.
No, I think that's true. If you're gonna do big business in restaurants or food, ignore my aspect of the market. Like, you want to make money, you got to do it.
Yeah. Well, and it's interesting, jump in if you disagree, but we had this whole phase leading up to hazies kind of taking over, where all of a sudden it was a white IPA, red IPA, cold IPA, black IPA. Yeah. All these guys were trying to find sort of the next thing, because there was this arms race within West Coast style IPAs, or American IPAs they call them. And then I feel like when hazies first hit, every brewer I talked to was like, all right, so this is the next thing that's going to be hot for like 3 months, and then we're going to move on to the next thing. And it just kept going.
And it still hasn't gone away.
Yeah, exactly.
It's now its own, they introduced it as a category at the World Beer Cup just because it was a phenomenon that obviously wasn't going anywhere. But yeah, he was right. I mean, you just thought, okay, 6 months and you're done.
You hit it on the head now. So now you have to explain for the uninitiated.
Okay. World Beer Cup. It's a competition that happens every 2 years at the Craft Beer Convention, CBC. We'll be going to that this month in Las Vegas.
Everybody tries beer? They bring their best stuff?
Well, so you enter your beers into competition and you send it out for
months in advance.
Yeah, exactly. We sent our stuff out over a month ago. And at this point, it's a trade show, but it's also a great opportunity for all the friends that we've made across the country. There's two things. There's World Beer Cup, as he said, is every 2 years. Right. And then there's the Great American Beer Festival, which is every year, always in Denver. And those are, that's going back to community.
The nuclear arms race for craft beer.
Yeah. This is where everybody gets together. This is, your Apple Developers Conference. This is your, everybody in one place.
And you'll see a category like Dunkelweizen, and there's 85 applicants, entries in that category. But then you get to the West Coast IPA, and there's 470 entries into that.
Do you guys enter every year for these things?
So you're limited to 5 entries that you can do each year.
Very strict guidelines.
Yeah, and you pick which categories you're going to enter into. And
you don't mind me asking? What do you?
So this year,
what's your mix?
Yeah, so this year we entered Respeto,
our Mexican
lager, and we entered Flat Black, our barrel aged pastry stout. So we
what do you base this on? It's like you have new formulations, or this is a growth area we think is going to happen. Like,
for us, it's just what we're proud of. Like, what we know works for us and what we think gives us the best possibility to win. Everyone chases that high of winning at World Beer Cup. It's a huge deal. There's competitions.
When is this World Beer?
April 22nd through the 24th.
It's this month.
Yeah.
Yep.
John, you got to make a note of this.
Okay, it's fun. It's
Vegas, baby, Vegas.
Really, I mean, again, like you said, there's a networking. There is like a little beer festival that's going on. Everybody's bringing their best stuff. There's events all around town, but everyone's there for Wednesday for the competition because you want to see your name on that screen and you want to get that medal. I mean, everybody.
And you guys have been going for years.
Yeah. So, the last couple of years, coming out of the pandemic, it hasn't been as consistent. But so this will be my first time going to the World Beer Cup since the pandemic. So
same.
Yeah. And it's so close. Like, how could we not go? It's a
that's
4.5 hour drive away. So
yeah. So it's either GABF, which everyone does every year that you're really vying for, but World Beer Cup is a whole different level.
Twist of Fate will be right back. Want to be part of our growing community of entrepreneurs and business owners? Join our Patreon and gain access to all of our content, including exclusive videos, Twist of Fate merchandise, and bonus educational content. You can also advertise right on Twist of Fate by joining our ad partner program. Don't have an ad to run yet? That's okay. We can help you by producing a Twist of Fate perfect ad like this one. Check out the show notes and learn how to apply to become an ad partner. And of course, we always appreciate when you like, subscribe, and share. Now let's get back to Twist of Fate.
Yeah.
So you said the P word. Pandemic.
Oh, yeah.
That's not fun for any of us, right?
Well,
no.
There were some highs and lows in the beer business.
So
with
it meant that.
Yeah.
I already know. So
Yeah.
it meant that all of us were stuck at home, and we couldn't go to work, so we started stocking. So I actually think the pandemic may have been good for business, potentially, right?
It was really instrumental for us in terms of expanding our distribution footprint. Going into the pandemic, I think we were selling our beer in 7 states, and it affected different breweries differently. But going into the pandemic, my business partners and I at the time had 7 restaurants in the brewery, and growing the restaurants, getting those back on track were completely outside of our control. California laws are changing every 2
right?
Yeah. Lockdown, reopen. It was changing all the time. Hire people, fire people. But the brewery, after the first week or so, was the Wild West. Yeah. So I remember when we let go 400 employees on March 16th. The only employee we kept was one brewer because we had a bunch of beer that was fermenting. We said, all right, you're getting paid for the next 2 weeks just to make sure
the people that you let go were still in the brewery making or processing, or were they in the restaurants?
That was predominantly on the restaurant side.
Okay, yeah.
So, but we had 5 people in the brewery. We let 4 of those people go. We kept one guy, just kept our head brewer, and said, look, you only have a job for 2 weeks because we don't want to abandon this stuff that's fermenting. We just got to get it kegged, and then you're going home also. And before those 2 weeks we got all these phone calls from distributors saying, hey, we don't care if there's beer on a truck on its way here. When it gets here, we're refusing it. We're accepting no orders. All orders are effectively canceled.
Oh, shit.
Within a week, they were all calling saying, what do you got? Do you have more beer?
Can we double up?
Yeah, exactly. So it got to the point.
In 1 week,
Yep.
Their demand requests just shifted in a completely different direction.
I think right out of the gate, they were doing what anybody would, which is, all right, stop all spending, hoard cash, figure out what's next. And then within a week, everybody started realizing, oh, wait a second. Everybody's at home. Nobody's working.
You're getting an extra $600 in the mail.
Everybody wants to drink.
Yeah,
so,
sure.
yeah. And so it was
even more so in that environment, right?
In fact, it was funny in Vegas in particular, they had dictated right out of the gate that liquor stores were non-essential. So all the liquor stores were closed, and there's a chain of gas stations out there called Speedy Mart, and the beer buyer for there was from San Diego, and so he started calling me directly. Hey, what do you have, and when can you get it here? So I was I'm trying to make ends meet. I got beer I got to sell. I'm loading up a van with pallets of beer, driving it to gas stations in Vegas to sell it. Like it was.
You had to pivot. You had to learn to do whatever you could to survive and thrive. And for me personally, like we looked at it and said, all right, home delivery system. We're literally going to start dropping beer off at your doorstep. And there was people buying 5 to 6 cases at a time. So I would be loading up the van in the morning. I would make sometimes 30 stops in a day. I would drive beer down where the border was literally at the fence across the street. Like,
was that an exhilarating time, Cesar, or was it a scary time, or both?
Both. It was scary because it's like, well, we don't know what this is going to look like next week.
Yeah, we have enough money for one more day.
Exactly. Yeah. But at the same token, it was like, well, this is really cool. This is unique. This is different. We're finding a way to stand out and kind of keep ourselves afloat. But yeah, it was weird being out there, and there was no traffic. That was wonderful. I could deliver beer without the fear of traffic. But yeah, it was a crazy time just knowing, all right. And then again, you wanted to shift everything into your package format because that's what could move. But then as some restaurants and bars were able to adapt to like a to-go system, people were buying kegs again because there was literally accounts that would fill up soup cups and sell you beer to take out, like,
or cocktails.
Yeah. You can't sit on site and drink them, but you can go in there and order a tub of beer. They would fill up your growlers, like stuff that's
completely
definitely
changed. Conventions just completely changed. Now, if you don't mind me asking, like, now we're in a post-pandemic world. That's not like back business as usual either, right?
No, definitely not. We're seeing your restaurant traffic is still down 8% versus the pre-pandemic days, and restaurant pricing is up 30 to 40%. So people are trying to spend less money per person. They're not going out as often. So, and we're feeling it too. That I started saying it earlier, and I distracted myself, which I'm so good at. But we went into the pandemic with distribution in 7 states, and by the end of 2021, still very much in the pandemic, but I would say the fourth quarter of it, we were in, I think, 23 states of distribution. I got to work just dialing for dollars and calling guys and saying, I've got beer, do you want it? And it opened up a whole network for us. And the big thing that has affected for us now is as business has found its new normal, yet another phrase we're tired of saying from the pandemic, we found our own new normal also. So guys that were only selling their beer in San Diego are subject to whatever the market conditions are in San Diego. We were diversified enough that, okay, if Minnesota decided, okay, well, we don't like craft beer anymore, we're going to nothing but whiskey. Great. We could continue to survive. As one market would change, another market would pick up where that one left off. And it put us into a position that we can still thrive in, even with current market conditions, where we're seeing a lot of breweries that are not doing so well right now.
No, actually, I see that more and more. It particularly, San Diego is a special place. That community, and there's the veterans here, and I think there's a role to be played for a brewery that represents the community, and that's why, first of all, that's why I'm geeked out to talk to you guys. But across the country, you guys don't know I'm an Ohio boy.
Oh, man.
And in the Midwest, there was this boom of microbreweries that the economies can sustain it.
Sure.
Right? You have in Detroit, Michigan, like homes that sell for $11,000
or $11.
They don't sell at all, right? So I think it's a special function that you guys play in almost providing a product that your local community needs, but also the local identity is tied into it. Hence, we're in the Gulls arena. Hence, the Gulls have a special place for you.
Absolutely.
In their partners, right? Right. I mean, it's how do we function without beer? Yeah. Which sounds like a joke, but it's like,
look, it's a social lubricant, and that can mean several different things to several different people. But sure. Yeah, that's the oldest beverage other than water.
Like he said, there's a beer for every occasion. You want to take one out on the golf course, enjoying a sporting event, relaxing at home for a business meeting. It's like, it's something that it's never going to go away.
No.
I mean, look, man,
it might outlast all of us.
Yeah.
Twist of Fate will be right back. Enjoying this episode and want more Twist of Fate? Let's do this thing.
I am fierce. I am powerful.
No, we're going to do it, and then we're going to do it, and we're going to make our own brokerage with it.
I think your strategy was different.
It's not just me. It's a team.
No, we're going to work with you, and we're going to walk with you.
Check out over 40 episodes with new ones on the way. Find your inspiration with Twist of Fate. Available to stream on Spotify, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. I have to be the devil's advocate here, but you saw what happened with Bud Light.
Yeah.
And the political firestorm that came with, maybe they had the best interests at heart of trying to do something for, the rights of all people, but it backfired, right? And it hit them hard. Is that stuff you steer away from? You steer into? Is that something that you just observe? I'm just curious how you guys process the whole Bud Light, PR marketing gone wrong debacle.
Big beer has always been the enemy of what we do in craft beer because they have so much to spend. So when something like that happens, it's like, well, that sucks, and the reason that it went down is kind of unfortunate. But at the same token, I'm like, man, you've bullied us around for years. It's kind of fun to watch you suffer. You've been able to walk into
what goes around comes around, right?
Well, you have no idea how many times I've walked into a bar and noticed my tap handle was gone, replaced with a big beer tap handle because they bought new TVs for the bar. And that's the power that they can play with. They can take away your space.
Fascinating. You call it big beer.
Yeah, that's what it is. And listen, man, I drink Modelo's. I love Modelo. That's a big beer. That's fine.
No, you don't. But you drink Modelo Especial.
Especial. Well, Negro Modelo for me. That's what I make my micheladas with. Yeah,
that's good too. Honestly, But that's all big beer to you.
Yeah,
right?
it is. But again, for me, like watching the way that they've operated and, you know, how they shifted their perspective, and all of a sudden they were buying up craft beer because they realized
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And that's for
But that
better or
can't be
worse.
them, right? Like, is it possible to be both? I don't know.
I don't think it is. I
don't
think
know.
Many have tried.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the play here going forward for the next 5 to 10 years is regional breweries. So I think somebody like us can have a deep impact in the Southwest, Southern California, Southern Nevada, Arizona. But I think it will be more difficult for us to have an impact in, say, Texas, unless we were to build a brick and mortar there.
So you have certain locations for Mason.
So actually, we don't right now.
No, hold on. That's not true. I can buy it here in Pechanga.
Well, sure. Yeah.
You're right. But
I've seen you guys stocking out there.
You better believe it. But we don't have a physical location
Tasting.
that says Mason Aleworks on it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So how do people watching this get your beer? Because this is a international podcast, actually. It may surprise you. Maybe you're going to pick up drinkers in India and Australia, because we get a lot of people like
He said, we're in 30 states now.
34 states and 8 countries. Just sent a shipment out to Australia last week.
Yeah.
Where do you go? Like, is it Costco or like where?
Oh no, it's there's a small distributor in Melbourne who brings in a couple pallets every couple months. The alcohol taxes in Australia are insane. So a case of beer will cost a consumer $150.
Doesn't mean they're not going to buy it though.
But
they bought a pallet.
Yeah, they buy good stuff.
Because it's local community, not big beer, they may pay more money.
Yep, they have to.
So, okay. So then, and at this, the World Beer,
Yeah,
World Beer
CBC, World Beer Cup. Yeah.
you guys are going to have a booth there? Or?
Not this year.
No booths.
Yeah.
So the booth portion of it is predominantly a trade show. Now the Great American Beer Festival, that's where you have booze and pouring beers and samples for
You have
everybody to
music
go through.
and like
Shoulder to shoulder people. Like
when is that? When is that?
So that's usually late September, early October.
You guys going to do a big shindig there?
We'll take a look at it.
Yeah.
We got to get through CBC first, and then we'll take a look at it.
Yeah. Every month you look at the calendar and it's like there's no free time, you know, between what we do here with the Gulls, the other festivals, traveling, you know, to visit our other partners and festivals and trade shows in Las Vegas, Arizona, launching new markets. You know, it keeps us busy.
Mason Aleworks, like, how do I say, there's not a better personification of people, beer, culture, and if anything, passion that you see from my friend Grant and Cesar here. Thank you both for taking time out of your busy schedules, and I hope to see you in future Twist of Fates. If you like this content, like, share, subscribe. We're trying to bring this content to you to help you build your legacy with planning, passion, and optimism. And if anything, I hope this will help you on your journey of finding your entrepreneurial dreams and making them come true. With that, I leave you for the next Twist of Fate.
Twist of Fate is hosted by Doug Younger. It's produced by John Lenbed and Matthew Brown at Ezo Creative. Special thanks to all of our Patreon members, and if you want to be a part of our growing community, join our Patreon and gain access to bonus content, Twist of Fate merch, and more. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, subscribe, and share. We are proud of our veterans and our country. Let's celebrate them. The Twist of Fate team.
And now, as we honor America and those defending our freedom at home and overseas, please welcome to the ice U.S. Army Staff Sergeant Collister Williams III and Project Manager at 3 Steps Forward as he performs tonight's national anthem. Once again, fans, let's hear it for Staff Sergeant Collister Williams III with our national anthem.